at the discussions that we are having on weather index, we are focusing on transferring of risk to insurance companies. However, when you look at the area of risk management, transfer of risk to insurance companies is just one of many ways of dealing with risk. And I believe that when we are doing all this innovative work with satellites and remote sensing and the weather index, that it would also be interesting to actually say to what extent are we reviewing our approaches to insurance, to risk, and actually saying maybe besides insurance we should be looking at alternative ways of dealing with the risk. In the session from Professor Carter now, you will begin to pick up some of the issues that I completely agree with him, that we are making a lot of assumptions sometimes about insurance being the answer to everything and the weather index being the answer to everything. I think there are many more considerations that we need to take into account. And yes, insurance could probably ultimately be the solution, but we are taking communities that have 0% insurance and we want them to be 100% insured. Between the 0% no insurance, where they absorb in full the claims on their part, what are the other processes in between? What are the other options that we have before we take them to a situation where they've got 100% transfer of risk? To what extent should we be looking at risk sharing? To what extent should we be saying, if they've been absorbing the claims so far, what can we learn from them and what can they do as a community so that they collectively absorb the risks? So there are many things that I believe could be done, but unfortunately our discussion has been focused on an extreme, and I'm not surprised that it has been difficult to persuade people that have 0% insurance to now have 100% insurance. We're expecting, I think, too much of a change too quickly. I think if 100% transfer of risk will be the solution in the long term, I think it's a process that we have to develop towards. And I don't know if there is research that actually shows us that after all the processes of identifying risk, that only transferring the risk is the only viable solution. So that's just my question. So I'm not questioning the whole idea of the weather index. I'm not questioning the idea of the remote sensing. I'm not questioning the relevance of climate and agriculture. All I'm just saying is that let's just be careful when we over-concentrate only on risk transfer, because it is just one of many solutions. Yes, I've moved recently from insurance to reinsurance. I'm still very new. I'm 2 months in the new job, and I'm looking forward to looking at how weather index is developed in Mozambique and other territories. My experience up to this stage has only been based on what I've done in Mozambique. Reinsurance offers me an opportunity to look at different territories at the same time. And I would like to also say Africa Re is a willing partner in addition to Swiss Re and AXA that are already there. And it's actually important not to monopolize the reinsurance. It's one of my criticisms that a lot of the indexes at the moment, they rely only on one supplier. I think if we open up the space on the supply side and allow more than the few that we have at the moment to get involved, that will also contribute to I think, to the improvement of the supply side as far as reinsurance is concerned. And yes, definitely I look forward to using that opportunity of working in a reinsurance environment to actually try and see if some of my concerns are valid. You have heard about Sri Lanka, where they've got the Sanasa cooperative concept. I would be very interested in looking into that, because once again, a cooperative represents a very different way to handling of risk. Although I must say on Sanasa, it's actually the communities are cooperatives, but the insurance company is not a cooperative. It's clearly written Sanasa Insurance Company. So I have an impression it's probably a private limited company or public limited company. It's not a cooperative. But I think cooperatives are an interesting idea. And even this whole area of captives and alternative risk transfer, what can be done? And being in a reinsurance environment, I think I'll be able to look at how we could explore some of those ideas, because I think sometimes for insurers to suggest that insurance is not the only solution, it maybe can kind of seem to undermine what they stand for. So maybe from a reinsurance perspective, maybe to also look at that and actually say, in fact, that was also an observation from Professor Carter in terms of understanding the nature of risk and the kind of solutions that we need, and to say what makes economic sense. So I'm very excited about being in the reinsurance environment, and I think there will be opportunities to explore different approaches to weather index. I think that it is important to have a few more reinsurers getting involved. And obviously, I welcome the initiative that was taken by the few that were the early starters. Insurance and reinsurance tends to be very conservative. It tends to take a lot of time before insurers and reinsurers start adopting new technologies, and they want to see things tried and tested before they try them. That probably is one of the explanations why we don't have many reinsurers operating in this area. And it's also important to open up the space so that there is, especially the issue of pricing, so that maybe there can be a bit more pressure on the reinsurers to ensure that there is appropriate pricing. But what is actually interesting about the organization that I work for, Africa Re, is that Africa Re was established for the specific objective of creating and supporting local development development of local underwriting skills. So for an Africa Re, in my view, we should not be missing in such exercises such as the weather index, because for us it's not first and foremost about making profit, but our most important objective in Africa is to support the development of insurance markets. And if insurance markets are getting involved in the weather index, Africa Re would like to be there to support and to learn with the market. So for us, it comes as an opportunity that is very aligned to the philosophy and the mission of the organization.